Welcome back. For years, the Philippines has chased a national economic goal, achieving upper-middle-income country status. The government had staked its credibility on reaching this milestone by 2026. This status was more than just a label. It was a promise of a better future, symbolizing resilience and progress. Then came the World Bank's revised forecast. The Philippines will likely not reach the upper-middle-income threshold until 2027. This delay is the result of what the World Bank calls lower-than-expected economic growth and heightened global uncertainties. What makes this setback sting is just how close the country was. In the latest World Bank data, the Philippines missed the required gross national income per capita threshold by a razor-thin $26. Just $26 separated the country from a global economic upgrade. But the question we must answer goes far beyond the balance sheet. This delay, while seemingly minor, introduces two critical threats: financial stagnation and a threat to the Philippines' critical military modernization program. Today, we deep dive into the technicalities of the delay, analyze the global forces holding the Philippines back, and reveal why a strong economy is the country's ultimate, most strategic weapon in the ongoing South China Sea conflict. 2. Defining the dream. What is UMIC status? To understand the setback, we must first understand the goal. What exactly is Upper Middle Income Country, or UMIC, status? The status is determined by the World Bank and is based solely on a nation's gross national income, GNI, per capita, the total income earned by a country's residents, divided by the population. The threshold is adjusted annually for inflation, but recently sat at approximately $4,496. Crossing this barrier places the Philippines in the League of Nations like Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. The rewards for achieving this status are significant and extend far beyond national pride. First, it signals market maturity. Graduating to UMIC status is a globally recognized stamp of economic approval. It reduces perceived risk, making the Philippines a more attractive destination for foreign direct investment, FDI. FDI brings capital, technology transfer, and, most importantly, high-quality, sustainable jobs. Second, it changes financial leverage. When a country is classified as low or lower middle income, it qualifies for concessional financing, that is, cheap, subsidized loans from international institutions like the World Bank. Once the country graduates to UMIC, it moves to market-rate financing. This means the government must be more disciplined, efficient, and sophisticated in managing its debt and funding major national projects, including defense. The delay gives the government a slightly longer runway to prepare for this transition. In short, UMIC status validates years of progress in curbing poverty and generating investment. Its delay is a warning sign that the government must address quickly. 3. The delay, global headwinds versus domestic risks. Why did the World Bank revise its forecast to 2027? The answer lies in a combination of powerful external forces and persistent internal challenges. The biggest external factor is heightened global uncertainty. The World Bank specifically cited slowing trade, Middle East tensions, and rising U.S. protectionist measures, such as new U.S. tariffs. The Philippines' economy is heavily reliant on exports, particularly electronics and semiconductors, with the United States being its largest trading partner. When U.S. demand slows or trade barriers go up, the Philippine export engine stalls, directly impacting GNI growth. Furthermore, remittance inflows, money sent home by millions of overseas Filipino workers, which historically drives about 70% of gross domestic product, are under threat from tighter immigration policies and rising global inflation. However, the problem is not entirely external. International analysts consistently point to internal risks that weigh on investor confidence. These include corruption and sluggish infrastructure execution. Project delays increase costs and create immense uncertainty in doing business, which slows the pace at which private capital flows into the economy. As one economist noted, while external risks are immediate, addressing corruption and project gaps is crucial for sustaining confidence and maintaining a solid growth path. The delay, therefore, is a necessary reality check. The Philippines needs to sustain growth of at least 6% annually, a target that global shocks and domestic inefficiencies are making incredibly difficult to meet. 4. The defense link, economic cost of security. This economic turbulence has a direct, chilling effect on the Philippines' most crucial national project, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP Modernization Program. Since 2012, Manila has been working on the three-phase Horizon Defense Initiative to upgrade its capabilities and reorient its military from internal security, to external territorial defense, a direct response to Chinese incursions. The current phase, known as Re-Horizon 3, is a 10-year program with an enormous estimated budget of USD $35 billion. The problem is funding. Historically, the AFP Modernization program has been plagued by inadequate funding, inconsistent prioritization, and slow procurement. Past Horizon phases overran budgets and delivered only a fraction of their scheduled projects, largely due to these persistent budgetary constraints. This is the key connection. Defense spending is fundamentally reliant on sustained economic health. If the Philippines fails to achieve and sustain the higher GNI levels of UMIC, its tax revenue base remains smaller, making it harder to fund its ambitious military wish list. Every time global uncertainty forces the government to revise its GDP targets downwards, it tightens the fiscal space available for new frigate acquisitions, offshore patrol vessels, and advanced radar systems, the very assets needed to establish credible deterrence in the West Philippine Sea. A slower economy means a slower defense modernization, which, in turn, risks widening the gap between the Philippine Armed Forces and its regional rivals. 5. The economic engine of deterrence. The Marcos administration understands this challenge and is attempting to build the economic machinery that makes national power sustainable. They recognize that a stronger budget fuels industry. A stronger industry sustains deterrence. This is the philosophy behind the Self-Reliant Defense Posture Revitalization Act. This act aims to develop a local defense industrial base through technology transfer and foreign investment. The goal is to move beyond simply importing weapons to building, maintaining, and innovating defense assets within the Philippines. For example, acquiring modern frigates is expensive, but being able to maintain and repair them locally, or even assemble them, creates high-tech jobs, transfers intellectual property, and reduces long-term maintenance costs. This entire vision is predicated on a stable, growing economy that can afford to subsidize and support a defense industrial complex. The pursuit of FDI, the efforts to streamline business processes, and the push for infrastructure, these are not just about poverty reduction, they are about national security. The economic battle to secure UMIC status is, therefore, a strategic campaign to ensure the country can afford to defend its sovereignty. The economy is the silent yet essential engine behind the alliances and warships we discussed in our last video. 6. Conclusion: the dual challenge. The delay to upper middle income status is a necessary pause, providing a final, critical 2-year window for the Marcos administration to implement difficult structural reforms. They must tackle the persistent issues of corruption and slow project execution, while simultaneously shielding the economy from global turbulence. The Philippines faces a dual challenge, defending its territory against geopolitical threats while simultaneously building the economic wealth needed to afford that defense. The two goals are now inseparable. Failure to achieve economic resilience will translate directly into vulnerability in the South China Sea. What do you think is the biggest barrier preventing the Philippines from hitting its economic targets? Is it internal policy or external geopolitical risk? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.